Hey, it's time for me to lighten my load of to be reviewed Blu-rays and DVDs, this little stack that's been building here for a while, by talking about a disc that's been in my possession for more than a few weeks. Talk about Household Saints by director Nancy Savoca. This was a 1992 film. It was her follow up to Dogfight, which was her second feature. And both of these films, both of these titles, Household Saints and Dogfight, were released within I don't know, a week or two of each other. It seemed very close to simultaneous. This, of course, is a Criterion Collection release and has probably gotten a little bit more attention just because of the power of the Wacky C and Criterion's network and instant purchases and follows because we trust Criterion's branding and discernment as far as releasing only the finest of movies. But Milestone released this one here right around the same time, and of course it's distributed via Kino Lorber, the mega distribution company that just puts out everything all the time. So even though Dogfight may have a slightly higher profile in terms of broader public awareness in the cinephile community, I enjoyed this film quite a bit. I'm not going to review it, but I'm going to review this one because they sent it to me for free. I paid for this one, but I got this one for free. They have a pretty close lineage. Dogfight, 1991. Household Saints, 1992. And True Love, which I think was 89 or 90. That was Nancy Savoca's debut feature. I need to track that one down because I really enjoyed both of these movies. And it seems like Nancy Savoca went on to have a pretty decent career in TV, films, and maybe some other features. I'm not an expert on her filmography by any means. But it feels a little disappointing that she didn't go on to become a bigger deal as a director, because just from these two films, we do have, as one of the reviews says, a master American storyteller. They both feature Lili Taylor. She's kind of a lead here, alongside River Phoenix, and so you get a lot of her and you get a lot of River in this film about a young Marine who's about to get shipped off to Vietnam. It happens to be the night before John F. Kennedy is assassinated, and he's got this little ritual that he's a part of with his Marine Corps buddies of trying to pick up the ugliest girl they can, bring her to a pre-arranged meeting place, and whoever gets the most homely chick wins some kind of a kitty, money that's been put together for the purpose of this little gambling adventure that they've set up, which of course has a very misogynistic and humiliating effect on the women, especially those who discover at some point why they were flattered by these handsome young men. So that's maybe about as much as I'm going to say about Dogfight for now. Highly recommended. But Household Saints, I honestly have to say, of the two films, I prefer this one, but it's probably just because the story is more appealing or more engaging to me. It's a three-generational family dramatic comedy, magic realism fable type of thing about basically it's about New York Italian family life. You see these two characters here. This is Vincent D'Onofrio and Tracey Ullman. And you see the cards on the table before them. He's not about to do a reading or anything. It's kind of an allusion to how he didn't meet his future wife, bride-to-be, but how he won her. He won her in a pinochle game on a very hot summer evening. The Sant'Angelo, Sant'Angelo, he's a butcher, and he's hanging out with his pals, playing cards, a little wager on each hand, and the father of the Lili Taylor character, Falconetti family name, he is flushed out. He's spent all of his cash, and he's looking for any way to maybe win something back in the next round. And so they get to the point where they're, laying barter on the table, and he actually puts up the hand of his daughter in marriage, and Santangelo wins it, and that's how this relationship is established. She's not really thrilled about the idea of getting married to this guy, but the old customs win, and they do end up getting together. Now the older the father and this guy's mother are old school Italian Catholics with all of the kind of superstition and tradition and guilt and shame and ritual, all of that stuff that kind of maybe is implied when you say traditional Italian Catholics. They're immigrants. They've come over from Italy, landed in New York, so they're kind of first generation, and this is the second generation. And they have a daughter later on, as the story goes on over the course of decades, ending into like the early 70s. That's when you see Vincent and Tracey in kind of aged makeup and all of that, and they become the parents of a young girl, and Lily Taylor plays the adult version of that young girl, who is deeply entranced by very traditional, old school piety of the Catholic sort. And so even though this couple, they were brought up as traditional Catholics, but they become a little more materialistic, a little bit more secular, a little bit more into the mainstream of modern American life as it was lived in the 1960s or so. But they have this daughter, Lily Taylor plays her in her young adult version, and it's really quite a delightful performance because, if you think about the time, she's kind of like the opposite of what was happening with youth, with the hippies and the flower children and the free love. Her character is very pious and sanctified, and really, as the title sort of implies, she wants to become a saint. She's been drawn into that tradition of Catholicism that really wants to live a pious, noble, virtuous life, and in that way get as close to God as she can. And I just really enjoy the quirks of character, the very good use of soundtrack music. There's some great period music from that 50s, 60s, and early 70s era that is expertly blended in and helps to tell the story. This disc also has a lot of really excellent features. Let me just show you the opening menu, because you've got some really wonderful examples of Nancy Savoca's earliest work, her student work from the early 1980s, including that first film you see there called Renata. It's almost like a sort of a sketch that is fully fleshed out in the feature film Household Saints. Also Bad Timing. You just get to see kind of some of her, kind of formative work as she's at New York University. I think she went to the NYU Film School to kind of learn her craft. And then there's this nice documentary, The Many Miracles of Household Saints. And really the takeaway from that is that this film came dangerously close to being irrevocably lost. They had a couple copies in the UCLA Film Archive, which you think, boy, UCLA, that's about as safe and stable as it gets for film preservation, but stuff happens. And the film, when they opened it up to kind of get a look at the negatives or the original prints, they found that they were damaged and to the point of being unusable. So that kind of precipitated a big scramble to see if they could track down whatever they could. But like I say, this film almost was entirely lost. They had to do a lot of really heavy lifting to get a restoration done, but when you watch the finished product on screen, you don't seem to feel like you're watching a film that was, this close to oblivion. So it's a really nice addition from Milestone Films. Now, as far as, packaging is concerned, I'll definitely give Criterion the nod here. You get the nice insert. I'll just kind of give you a look inside there. Little essay, some photos. So, this is definitely, Criterion. They didn't pull out all the stops on this one, but they gave it a pretty decent look. With Milestone and Kino, this is what you get. This is just their standard flyer that comes in all their stuff these days. Basically a little hype for Kino Film, their streaming service, the Kino Film Collection, which I think is a pretty great service. I don't subscribe to it currently, but I very well may, because you get access to a lot of really excellent Kino stuff for a pretty reasonable price. I think it's like $6 a month, and they might have some promotional deals to make it a little bit cheaper. It's through Prime Video, so it kind of helps if you've got a Prime membership as well. But other than that, nothing else here. But I also wanted to point out something interesting back on, get that menu back up there. You see an interview with director Nancy Savoca and star Lily Taylor, courtesy of and copyright the Criterion Collection. So that was kind of interesting, and you can tell from the interview that it's filmed at the Criterion offices. And it does make me wonder if at some point Criterion was going to plan to release both of these films, or if maybe they just lent their facility so that they could get a nice kind of, input from the director as a bonus disc for Household Saints on the Milestone Kino Lorber release. But the fact that that Criterion continues to keep its hold on that clip tells me that this was done in pretty close proximity. However, the plan was all along. I could see Criterion finding, both of these films worthy of scheduling, but as it turns out, Milestone got this one, and it's a great pickup. Find a way to watch this movie. If my description intrigues you at all, I think you'll find it very delightful. It has some very funny moments, very poignant moments, and it's this multi-generational saga. So I think it just takes you on a little bit more of an extended journey than what you get in Dogfight. Although Dogfight has some fantastic moments in it as well. And on a personal level, my dad was a Marine from like 1961 through 63. He did his hitch, and I got to watch this movie with him. He's still with us, and I want to find out if the Marines of his time really did engage in these kind of dogfight antics. My sister was born in September of 1963, and that was the end of his time in the Marines as well. So he just missed the cut of being shipped off to Vietnam. But I remember hearing stories as a kid growing up about how close he came to being deployed. If he had decided to re-up for whatever reason, he probably would have wound up in Vietnam, and who knows, my life might have been very, very different if that had happened. So anyways, I'm kind of diverging into a little more of a personal remembrance there. But anyways, let me recommend to you again, Household Saints. Great movie. Nancy Savoca, a real treasure. I'm really glad she got her time in the spotlight with these two films. Check them out. I'm sure you will not regret it.